Welcome back to another episode of the Nursing Now podcast. My name is Janelle McSwiggin, and I'm your host, and I am here with another Janelle. So this is Janelle Salo, and she is a nurse writer. Janelle, thank you so much for coming and taking the time to come on the podcast with me.
Janelle, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, really.
You're so welcome. So can you tell my listeners a little bit more about what you do? I think they know what nurse writing is because of me, but we've talked a lot about the different avenues. So can you just talk a little bit more about what you do?
Sure. So right now, I do have a full-time job, a regular day job, but I am doing nurse writing on the side, and I've been writing for a couple of different publications. And I've also launched a website within the last year. My website is called healthyearthliving.com. It's a baby website, but I have lots and lots of really cool blogs on it about uh, healthy body living, healthy mind living, and also what we can do to help promote a healthier planet, the things that we can, changes that we can make to make our planet a healthier, better place for all to live on. And I just recently also launched a newsletter. The newsletter, if you subscribe to, will bring my blogs and recipes straight to your inbox. I do post new blogs and recipes pretty much every single week. So you'll be getting information all of the time. And I always look forward to everybody's feedback on everything that I blog and post about.
Awesome. And that's healthyearthliving.com. I actually love that you mentioned recipes because I'm a huge recipe buff. I create like a menu for us every week and like different recipes that I like find off of the internet. And like everyone has to eat, right? I know that's such like a dumb thing to say, but it fuels us. Everyone has to do it. So there's a lot of benefit in signing up to your newsletter and seeing stuff like that. So you are a nurse writer and you do content writing, which is to inform. And you focus on holistic health and wellness. And we work together, and right out the gate, you wanted to focus on that. You were very focused on what your niche was.
So yeah, I kind of, and I'm glad that I was able to kind of nail it down to the holistic health and wellness niche, because that's really where my heart lies. I'm a vegan, I'm a yogi, I'm a scuba diver, I'm a planet advocate, I'm an animal advocate. So the when I nailed down that niche, I pretty much just started focusing on writing for different magazines that I was kind of like going after them first and getting them to take me on board. And I had a couple of clients like that I was able to write health and wellness articles for. And so the articles that I've been writing recently have been focusing on recovery, people that are struggling with addiction, whether it's drug and alcohol addiction or gambling or shopping. And also I've got a article coming out later on this year for another magazine that focuses on autoimmune diseases. So, and then I've also done a lot of publications for nursing outlets like Nursing CE Central, Luminous Travel, little blogs and articles like that, just to kind of highlight what different areas there are out there for nurses that we can do other than working in hospital.
I totally agree with functional health being the core of you. And it just makes so sense with your personality and everything that like encompasses you. So when I think of someone that like picks a niche based on like their interests and their values, you're like the first person that comes to mind when I'm working with other students.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, yeah, because it's so true to you.
Yeah.
I think picking a niche, or if, for people that don't know what a niche is, it's pretty much like your corner of the writing universe to kind of like hold up in and figure out like what type of writing you want to do. So it's where you kind of camp out. You can switch later on, but it usually
Yeah.
helps to figure out what you want to do. I think it's so beneficial to make that decision right away. It really makes it a lot less overwhelming when you can have a more targeted approach. And I really admire that right away. You went into it and you're like, this is what I want to do. No
Mhm.
compromise on that. So that was
And
really admirable.
I think it's a broad enough niche that you can write for just about any any publication that wants a health writer. I'm not kind of narrowing myself down to one thing. But yeah, and plus I think it's important that you write about something that's here in your heart, because it makes it easier for the words to flow when you don't have to, try to figure out what somebody wants, because I already know what I'm going to say. So it's much easier to, you know what I mean? It's much
Uh,
easier to write.
yes, yes, I do. So I wrote a functional health piece, and I am interested in functional health. I'm definitely interested in it, but my spark is neurology, particularly migraine health. And this functional health piece was not very long. It was only 1,200 words, and it took me days to write. Like I
Mhm.
was procrastinating so hard. The sentences were so awkward. And like I said, I do love functional health, but just not the same as neurology. And the next day, I wrote this migraine piece in like 3 hours, no problem, knew exactly where I needed to find my sources. So I definitely do agree that your job is so much more enjoyable when you're working in a space that you love and that it just like pulls at your
Absolutely.
heartstrings. Yeah. And
Sure, for sure.
this gives you the opportunity to really do that.
Yeah.
So you're a newer nurse writer, which I'm really excited to have on because I think that the farther you get in your career, you do remember what it is when you first started out. I definitely do remember like the scariest moments for me, but I think it's so helpful to hear from someone that's a little bit fresher in their career. So can you tell me about your journey from a nurse to a writer and how that's been for you?
Sure, I'd love to. So I started doing this last October after something piqued my interest. I saw something pop up on Instagram, and I looked into it and I thought, oh, this can't be so. This can't be real. But I just dug a little deeper, and I realized, yeah, I mean, everything you Google online that has how do I get rid of a migraine? Somebody wrote that article, and somebody got paid to write that article, and I thought, wow, I can do that. So I took a course before I took your course, which we'll get to. I took a course, and the course did help me find my sample clips, which I was grateful for. But I needed something with more like structure, more bones, something that would help me really go after the kind of clients that I wanted, something that would help me optimize my LinkedIn page, because I had no clue about LinkedIn, and you really helped me with that. and and so it was. I'll be honest, it was hard. The first few months were hard, and they were frustrating. And talking to some of the nurses that I've been working with that have helped me on my blog, I sense their frustration, but I keep trying to encourage them. Don't give up. Just don't give up, because you had kept telling me that eventually they'll come to you, and I'm like, okay, come on, bring them on. And you were right, because I mean, one day I just woke up and boom, I had a couple of messages on my DM and my LinkedIn, and I had people that wanted to hire me to write for them after reading some of my stuff on my even on my own blog, and I was like, oh yes, this is so awesome.
And I'm so happy to hear that you did round that corner. I hear from new writers that is the hardest part. Are they're ready, they have taken my course, they want the clients, and the clients are right around the corner, but they haven't come yet. And I just feel so bad because I'm like, they will come, I promise they will come, but they're not coming yet.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest hurdles besides imposter syndrome, which I hear over and over and over
Oh
again.
yes.
And we do this, it's the clients aren't coming. I like how you brought up LinkedIn because I like if I had a tagline, it would be like, if I can do it, you can do it. And my second one would be LinkedIn is a gold mine.
It sure
Because
is.
yeah, it's wild. So I make it a focal point in my course to make sure that everyone knows how to use LinkedIn, how to go down and like optimize your profile yourself using keywords. And then you can pop up in searches and it just makes it so much easier. And it's so nice when you like wake up and there's a message and someone is asking you to write. Like that's such a confidence boost. You know what I mean?
It
Because
is. It
yeah.
is. I mean, and that's kind of what helped me overcome imposter syndrome. I still have it. Anytime I write an article for somebody else, I'm always worried about sending it in. But I just take a breath, and I know if it's not right, they'll send it back and I'll fix it. And I that's one of the things too that I think as a new nurse writer, nurses are such perfectionists, and God forbid you make a mistake in the hospital, you could really lose your license. Here, if you make a mistake on a piece, they just send it back and you fix it and you push it right back to them, and all is gravy. It's good. So
Yeah, thank
Easy
you for
peasy.
thank you for bringing that up too. Nurses are very, very rigid. Even when they approach me, they have this like one mindset of how to do things, and I'm
Yeah.
always like, this is not the bedside, you guys. Like, we're loosey goosey here. Like, we're all running
Hmm.
our own businesses. Like, create your business values, your morals, and like what you want to accomplish, because what I'm doing might not be what you're doing. So, like, our next steps might be different. So,
Yeah.
just to like keep that open mind. It's not like if you see like X, then give this medication at the bedside. Like we don't have standard operating procedures, which I think really freaks nurses out.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I mean, yeah, because when you've been a nurse for so long, I've been a nurse for over 20 years, and I spent most of that time at the bedside. And being a nurse writer, there is no pressure. I mean, except maybe trying to find clients in the beginning, but once they start to roll in, the pressure it becomes less and less and less, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. Once you get over that hump and also like get your, I guess, like systems and resources set up, like you figure out like how you're getting like your payment and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That like first big rush of like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this and I have all these things. I actually that
Hmm.
I put like, have you seen like the monster checklist I have in the course of like
Yes,
what to do?
of course.
Yeah, that's
I
why I
saw
have that.
that.
Yeah, that's why I have that in there because I feel like I didn't know what to do. So I felt like that checklist, I was like, okay, this is like what you do. Like some of it is you can like move around, but just to like help with that anxiety. And who doesn't love a type A checklist? Like I love type A checklist.
Listen, I love your whole type A-ness, your checklists and everything on your course. I was just like, oh wow. I mean, I know that most nurses are like that, but you are really type A and really structured, and I think that's great. I think people that are jumping into this career need to have a set of ground rules to follow because you're out there kind of flapping in the breeze and you really don't know what you're doing, and that's really how I felt a year ago. But now I feel so much better. Like I'm just kind of going with the flow, letting what happened happen. So it's cool.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that for you because I know that you are stressed at the beginning, and most new
I
nurse
was.
writers are stressed at the beginning. So I'm happy we're feeling better over here.
Yeah, sure, and I'm sure there's a lot of mental health on that end of your as the teacher having to like kind of coach people through the anxiety of a new health writer.
Oh yeah, and I want everyone to succeed so so badly. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I just want everyone to be out there shining in the role that they want to be in.
yeah.
So there is anxiety from me like helping them and want to help, but like I want them long term to succeed. So there are people that I don't hear from and I'm like, "Oh, I hope that they're doing good." So to like hear that you're doing better, I'm like, "Yes, girl, get it." Like,
I
awesome.
am. I am doing better. Yes, but I'm not.
That
I'm not a quitter. I don't give up on anything. I keep going, going, going. I'm
so it sounds like the transition is going good for you. Um, Can you talk a little bit about what a nurse writer does? We know obviously that we write and we get clients, but can you talk a little bit more about like maybe what a typical week might look like? And I know my weeks always change, so if you can kind of like invent an ideal week, you know what I mean, of like tasks that we typically have to do, like that would be super helpful for people that I guess are interested in writing, but they don't understand all the overarching things that we have to do.
okay. Sure. So when I have an assignment due, I actually have one due tomorrow, and it's done. Thank God. But when I have an assignment due, I allow myself enough time to do the writing. I like to write everything out first because I'm a holistic health writer. So everything is already up in here in my head. Once I have everything down on paper, then I go and I look for my resources. I research I do it kind of backwards because I know they're out there and I know where to look. I know where my peer-to-peer sources are. And then if I can't back it, then I just can't put it in the article. That happens sometimes. So once I have everything written and sourced out, then I go through my edits. And then you also taught me don't go crazy with the edits every single, don't go crazy all day long looking at this thing. Edit it and walk away. And so I've been doing that. I'll read it, I'll walk away. I'll look at it the next day. I'll catch a couple of other things. I'll fix it. I'll walk away. Then when I submit my piece, then I submit my invoice, and then I submit my idea for my next subject that I want to do. And when I like working with companies that kind of let me have my own free reign of what I want to write about. And I think being a health and wellness writer, that kind of goes along with it, just because it's health and well, it's kind of a holistic type writing. I do submit my ideas at the same time I submit my invoice. So it's exciting to submit an invoice for something that you created. That's the best part of health writing, I think. And then on the days that I don't have, if I don't have a publication due, that's what I focus on, healthyearthliving.com, putting in blogs, putting in my recipes, and my ebook, which is I'm working on right now. And that will be coming out hopefully within the next month or so, couple months. I'll give myself a couple more months, 2 or 3 months. Let's give myself 2 or 3 months. Slow down, Janelle. So yeah, so that's kind of what a day in the life of Janelle Salo as a nurse writer is for me.
Awesome. I love that. That's so interesting that you're writing first and researching second, but I bet that helps with flow. Like sometimes when I'm researching and then I'm writing, I get like stuck on like the wording and it's so
Yeah.
awkward and it takes me a while to rewrite. So I wonder if you're just kind of like loosey goosey with it, if it comes a lot easier and you're getting like less hung up on your words. So, so interesting on that. Um,
For me, that's how I work. Everybody does it their own way, but my niche is holistic health and wellness. So a lot of that is already up in it's for me, that's all common sense stuff. As I said earlier, I'm a yogi, I'm a spiritual person, so it's like and I believe in a lot of functional medicine. So it's not so much the science backing, which is the kind of health writing, medical writing that you do. So it is a lot more loosey goosey, the way my writing style, but I still source everything.
Yeah, I find that with migraine stuff too, though. I know migraines like the back of my hand, so I know that like the symptoms and everything, and I know what I can write, and then I go back and I do find sources. So yeah,
That's exactly what I'm talking about. When you have a specific niche and doing bedside chronic care nursing for years and years and years and teaching diet and good exercise, and especially with diabetics and heart patients, all that stuff is like, that's just common sense stuff to me. And I find myself doing a lot of that kind of writing now. So
and another pro of niching down, right? Because you are faster because you kind of know what to write, and then you can go back and quickly research. You're not like starting from ground zero with these concepts that you've never um, dealt with before, which honestly, I do like doing deep dives into things I've never heard of before, but it's slow. It's
yeah,
really slow to
yeah,
teach myself a new like skin disease that I've never heard of.
yeah, I
Uh,
bet. Yeah, I haven't taken that plunge yet, Janelle, but maybe one day, who knows?
I'm the nerdier Janelle. I like to nerd out
Hey,
real hard.
just a little bit nerdier.
Yeah. I also like that you walk away between edits. I'm a huge proponent of that. I find that my brain just stops working. I can't like rework and rework the same sentence, and I stop like being able to see those creative pathways. Like I
Yeah.
need to just like walk it out, like come back with fresh eyes, like even like doing like something else like more monotonous helps. And then you also mentioned like working on side projects in your downtime. I also do that, whether it's like social media creation or I have to update my website. It is like so old. So I'm working on that. So yeah, there's a lot of like small little projects you can be working on when you're not writing.
And I just did some website tweaking over the weekend. So yeah, I had some downtime, and I thought that was on my to-do list for the day, my goal list, and I just got it done. And I built my own website. I think you built yours too, right?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. But I'm proud of what I built. So check it out.
Yes, yes, I know. I was just talking to someone. I had a podcast, I think, last night, and I was saying it's not necessary to have your website because it is so overwhelming to
It
create
is.
it. But my website is so cute and I don't regret doing it. But if it comes between you thinking that you need like a website and like maybe not becoming a nurse writer, like you don't need it. Just like throw it out. Like you can work on it
I
later.
am I'm glad you said that, because you're the one who told me don't worry about a website right now. Just focus on your LinkedIn page, which is what I did. I didn't start the website until June, but I started health writing last October. Well, I started, the courses and the learning about it. So I went, more than a year, more than 6 months before I even entertained putting up a website. And my website is for my blog. It's not even for my writing business. So my
Oh yeah.
writing business is all on LinkedIn.
Yeah. My writing business, it's not my website isn't for that. My website is to help nurses. And I think I've gotten like 2 leads ever from my website. I get my leads off of LinkedIn. So that's why
Yep.
I'm like, don't worry about it. And
Same
like
here.
make sure you're comfortable and then you can like start this crazy project because you have a lot of stuff going on at first. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy that
We're
worked
a
out.
one man, we're like a one man show. I mean, I know that I am. So yeah.
Oh yeah. I just got an assistant and she is lovely. Shout out to Gita. But before that, it was just me.
Yeah. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Thank God we have the nursing mindset that we can do 10,000 things at one time, or we wouldn't be able to do this.
Yeah, I always like make like LinkedIn posts and advocate that nurses make such great writers. And one of the things is prioritization and also being able to multitask so many different things.
Yeah.
And it's so true when you run your own business.
Yep. It sure is.
So speaking of that, do you think there's like certain personalities that might thrive as a nurse writer? Have you always wanted to be a writer?
I have. I've always,
No.
I mean, I kind of come from a family of writers. So, and I've always wanted to, like, initially, I didn't even think about writing articles. I always wanted to like write a book, a memoir, or even something fictional. But every time I would sit down to try to do it, I just couldn't get myself together. But what this has done for me is help really organize my thoughts and teach me how to organize things on paper. And and that's also in your course, just kind of laying out the outline and organizing and building that outline first and then filling in the blanks. And that was one of the hardest things that's what prevented me from being able to write before. And now I'm writing a book because I know how to write. I mean, I knew how to write, I just didn't know how to organize my thoughts. Now I do. So it's
Yeah.
awesome.
I also always wanted to be a writer. I thought the only way you could be a writer is to write either poems or to write a
Yeah,
book.
right.
And same thing, I would sit down so many times, I'd be like, I don't know how to do this like huge task.
Yeah.
Uh, but the outlining helps so much. I'm also thinking I have like a couple of book ideas that I have started outlining. So man, it's a big task, but we're that's one of my goals. So we'll see. Two
Yeah,
Janelles
it's like
and 2 books. Look at us.
right. Watch out, world. Here we come.
Yeah. Um, so besides maybe wanting to be like a writer, and it's so interesting, I asked that question, like, have you always wanted to be a writer? And so many writers right off the bat are like, yes, absolutely. So it's so interesting what lies kind of like dormant and underneath us until like we decide to like wake it up in a non-traditional way of writing and of
Mhm.
nursing. So just so interesting. But besides wanting to be a writer, what other personalities do you think might be suited for this? I like asking this question in case there's a nurse that is listening and they're not quite sure what type of person this role might be suited for.
You know what? I think anybody, any nurse or any health professional could do this. I think that I think just, having talked to so many nurses that I've worked with over the years that are still doing that job that they started doing 20 years ago and they're really not that happy. I'm a chameleon when it comes to my profession. This is my profession and I really like doing it, but I don't want to be unhappy. And so I've always strived not to be unhappy. I've always had a very strong work-life balance. So anybody can do this, and if you're a nurse and you have to be an organized, uh, person who can really that can multitask and do many things at once. So if you can do that as a nurse, you can put your ideas down on paper. It's just a matter of learning how to do it initially, which isn't hard to do. And I think that nurses have very thick skins. We have to. So when you when you submit that first draft, and it's nerve wracking because you have imposter syndrome. You're not sure how it's going to turn out, and then you get that they kick it back to you for edits. You know, as nurses, we've learned to grow thick skins and let things roll off our back. So don't sweat it. You can do this. You definitely can do this. It's hard in the beginning. I'm not going to lie. It's hard, and I can see why a lot of nurses may want to give up. but I'm not that kind of nurse. I don't give up. So thank God.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you said. I think pretty much anyone can do this role as well. I'll also even go a step further and say that while I was always called to writing, at one point I was a really good writer. I was really rusty when I picked up and started writing as a career. So I wasn't even a great writer when I started back up writing again, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was better as a kid, like in high school. So I was so rusty. So I wasn't even a strong writer. So I don't even think you have to be an incredible writer to be good at
Mhm.
this job. And there's so many different niches. I talk about niches all the time, but even doing like slide decks, which I call fancy pants PowerPoint slides,
Yeah.
very like visual for people too. So it's not even necessarily like writing these super, super long deliverables. So if you're not even like a super word person, there's still like space for you in this arena. So I totally agree with you too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about how you got started, but I like to go a little bit further and ask, like, what were your first few steps? Because I think that, again, nurses that are curious at the bedside and they might be interested in this, but they're just so overwhelmed and they're just not quite sure what they should be doing. So, can you talk about what your first few steps are that you think might be helpful for other people that are listening?
Um, you know, definitely get on LinkedIn. Get on LinkedIn. Get that ball rolling and started, and look at other people's pages. And I did not know anything about how to optimize a LinkedIn page until you kind of directed me and guided me on how to do that. And now I find my LinkedIn page to be fully optimized. I mean, I'm sure there's still some more that I can do, but the more that you can put on your page to show people your true identity, like what you're capable of doing, and your experience, and build your resume and your portfolio on your LinkedIn page. That's what's going to draw. You may not get clients drawn to you right away, but you'll get other people curious at what you're doing. And what LinkedIn does is once you start making those networking connections. I mean, I've only been on LinkedIn a little over a year, and I mean, I already have over 1,200 connections. And I mean, I don't know how that happened. And because I'm not a social media person. I mean, I like to go on Instagram and look at funny videos and stuff, but I don't collect people like some people do. But I'm glad to see that people are curious about me and they want to know what I'm doing and they like what I'm doing. And when that happens, that brings people that are looking for writers to your page also. And that's how these people are finding me. So I think the first thing people need to do is just get on LinkedIn and do your homework. Maybe take a course. You offer a great course. It's not expensive. You have to invest in yourself a little bit. You do have to invest a little bit of money, but I wouldn't go overboard with website and all the extreme things that you may be hearing other people doing right now. First, take a little bite and see if it's sweet, if you like it. And then if you do, then just kind of slowly invest on yourself. And that's kind of what I've been doing over the last year.
I couldn't agree more, especially with not investing in a ton of software. Be really cognizant of where your money's going. So I definitely agree with you there of not like following the shiny object of software when you're getting started.
Yeah, for sure. Just take baby steps. I mean, you don't want to jump in with both feet. You just stick your toe in and just sample the water. See if it's warm enough for you. And then as you start to grow your business, then maybe invest a little bit more. And I mean, on it, like I said, I just built my website in June. So I mean, I didn't jump right in with a website. I know a lot of nurse writers do that and they got beautiful, beautiful websites, but they still haven't gotten any clients yet. So and I'm not that there's anything wrong with that, but I don't think you need to do all that up front. Start just start simple, take some baby steps, and then the rest will kind of follow.
I totally agree. Um, so Janelle, do you have any parting words for my listeners today?
I think that there are so many great opportunities for nurses right now post pandemic. And I think that people should, if you're a nurse or anybody in the healthcare field, be happy with what you're doing. Um, find something that makes your heart sing and makes makes yourself happy. There are lots of different avenues that you can do. You can write, you can coach, you can counsel. There's a lot of different things that you can do. Don't be afraid of change. The only constant in the universe is change. So just go for it. Don't let yourself shine, and don't get trapped into an unhappy position. I mean, if I could say anything, I just know so many nurses that are unhappy, and I'm not afraid. I am not afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to try new things. That's my parting advice.
And so, so well said. I think that you pretty much touched on the core of this podcast and what I'm trying to show people, that if you do happen to be alone or feeling isolated and upset at the bedside, there are so many different options to meet so many different personality needs and like different, I guess, bedside experiences.
Yeah.
And that you're not stuck in quicksand, in that you're also not the first nurse to leave and discover a new and exciting role. I know we've brought up LinkedIn a million times, but I'm only saying it because the nurses on there are so incredibly friendly and so ready to welcome a new
Yes.
non-traditional nurse like into our cohort. So yeah, if you can take away anything from Janelle and I's conversation and from this podcast, it's that if you're stuck, get unstuck. We can help with the podcast. We can all do it. So
Yes.
Janelle Salo, the other Janelle, thank you so much for coming on today. It has been
Thank you so much for having me.
absolutely, it's been so nice to watch you grow as a writer, especially over the
Thank
last
you.
year. Right away, you did have that drive, and I was like, this girl is absolutely going to kill it at writing. You knew exactly what you wanted, knew the type of client, and you're like, I am not giving up. So
That's
again,
right.
I am so happy to see you shine in your articles, and every time you get a new client, I'm rooting for you. So thank you so much again for coming on.
Thank you, Janelle. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything.
You're welcome. This has been your Nursing Minute.